The bullying incidents have gotten totally out of control in this school. A girl named Ran and her friend Kyung have been mercilessly bullied, but nobody has dared to help them. One night, her mother, Kang-ja, finally notices and believes it is time for her to act. She talks to her husband about it and tells him that they have to go to Ran's school in order to look for the students who are bullying them. Her husband, Jin Sang, remains calm and tells her that they need to think this through. The students at Ran's school have powerful parents and they might get in trouble for messing up with their children. Kang-ja is mad at him for saying that and asks him if he would say the same thing if Ran was his biological daughter. However, there is a bit of backstory here. Everybody thinks Ran is the daughter of Kang-ja's sister, meaning that Kang-ja is her aunt, but that's far from the truth. Kang-ja gave birth to Ran when she was still a teen. Plus, he gave birth to her outside marriage. That's why her family came up with this lie, to protect her dignity. When Kang-ja walks outside the room, she realizes that Ran has heard them. The girl tells her mother to listen to Jin Sang. Kang-ja is trying to help her, but nothing good is coming out of it. The next morning, Kang-ja asks to meet with a teacher from the school, Mr. Kang. Kang-ja tells him about the bullying incidents, and Kang shares the information he got with some of the other teachers. Kang claims he asked around and he was able to discover that Ran and Kyung are dating. That is the reason why the other students are picking on them. The solution he suggests is for Kang-ja to transfer her daughter to another school. Kang-ja is rightfully mad and she snaps at him. Right next, she visits a department in Seoul which specializes in such school bullying incidents, but the clerks tell her that she needs to present them with some kind of proof, which could be a picture of an incident or of an injury. If she has none of them, then the victim should come to this office and file a statement. Kang-ja makes a scene because nobody is assisting her as she would expect, but eventually, she is thrown out by the guards. Kang-ja attends a trial where a student named Cole apologizes to another student named Jun-ho, whom he has been bullying for a long time. After Cole is sentenced to 200 hours of social work, the trial ends and Kang-ja meets with the judge outside. The judge asks her to meet a few minutes later at a cafeteria, but hours pass by and he does not appear. Kang-ja tries to call him, but as she does, she witnesses Cole bullying Jun-ho again, meaning that he has not changed a bit. Then, Kang-ja sees a woman crying and complaining to the judge about the justice system. She trusted him and thought they would change the situation, but her child committed the unthinkable due to the devastating effects of bullying. Elsewhere, a boy named Bokdong is chasing Ran through an alley. In her attempt to escape, Ran hurts herself and Bokdong is able to catch up to her. The boy warns her to stay away from Kyung or else she will get hurt. He says that the more they try to make things better, the more things will go south for her and her mother as well. The boy speaks as if somebody has sent him to deliver this message. A few moments later, Kang-ja finds her daughter in the alley and brings her home. After everything that she's seen tonight, she knows she has to do something, so she gets into the car and drives away. Kang-ja visits the school looking for Kyung. One of the teachers named Noah, probably the only good teacher in this school, tries to stop her, but Kang-ja shows him how strong she is. Then, she runs after Kyung when she spots her, but the girl is taken away by a mysterious man who tries to scare her. Kang-ja loses her cool while she is unable to find the girl, and she recalls some of the incidents that happened lately, including the woman who was crying in front of the judge. Back at home, Ran is in a bad condition and begs her mother to save her. Right next, Kang-ja visits a nightclub and picks a fight with everybody. Surprisingly, she is a skilled fighter and beats everyone up. Then, she tells one of the employees to deliver a message to his boss. His boss, a woman named Hyun, decodes the message immediately and understands the woman causing a mess is Kang-ja. The two of them are not strangers. In fact, they have been best friends since school. Kang-ja tells her that she needs to go back to school, pretending she is a student, and she is going to need Hyun's help to pretend she is her mother. Hyun wonders if her friend is crazy, but Kang-ja believes this is the only way to keep her daughter safe. If the person harming Ran is not arrested, her daughter will be abused again. Hyun asks if there is somebody from school who knows her, and then the two of them part ways. Elsewhere, a man who works for the school's owner corners Kyung and pulls a knife on her. He tells her to transfer to another school fast or else he will hurt her and her bestie. Later, Kang-ja returns home only to find her daughter on the floor holding a knife and having cut some of her hair with it. As a mother, Kang-ja is able to understand that her daughter is in a bad place mentally. Elsewhere, Hyun and her men have put teacher Kang in a fridge for ice creams. Hyun repeatedly asks him why he believes he is here and what he did wrong. The man fails to give her a satisfying answer, so Hyun leaves him inside the fridge. Eventually, we find out that Hyun wanted him to write a resignation letter because he is the only person who knows Kang-ja in Rant's school. The principal reads the letter with teacher Do on his side and wonders why Kang didn't even come to the school to give him the letter in person. Back in Kang-ja's home, she gives her daughter a haircut and tries to get her to release some of her tension. She says that if Rant needs to break something or just scream at the top of her lungs, she should do so. However, Rant recalls the threats she has received and prefers to stay silent in order to protect her mother. When she walks outside, Kang-ja receives a message from the judge, but she just deletes it because she has already a plan in place. She changes her appearance to look like a school student, a fact that surprises her mother-in-law when she returns home. While she wanders around Rant's room, Kang-ja finds her diary and reads some bitter words in it. Her daughter considers her a liar because she knows her mother doesn't even have a sister. Her supposed dead sister was never a real thing. The next morning, Kang-ja goes to school in order to get her mission started. In the teacher's office, Principal Oh announces that Noah will become one of their main teachers because he is taking Kang's place. Kang-ja presents herself to the teachers as the new student and Noah takes her to her class. While they walk down the hallway, Noah wonders if they have met again, but Kang-ja remains silent. In class, Kang-ja is prompted to introduce herself and she does so by giving a false name, Bang-wol. The class bursts into laughs because this name refers to a bell that people hang around a dog's neck. Kang-ja sits on the empty desk that used to belong to her daughter and starts reading all the humiliating messages that the bullies have written for her. She starts crying as the girl bullies approach her under Jang Hai's leadership. Kang-ja asks them if they are the ones who did this, but the girls try to scare her. Kang-ja jumps straight into action and bumps Jang Hai on the desk. Then, she orders her friends to lock the class doors. While Kang-ja teaches them a lesson, Bok-dong intervenes and stops her. Kang-ja recognizes him also as a bully and tries to attack him, but Noah grabs her hand in order to stop the fight. Kang-ja plays with him like he is a toy and tries to attack the bully. Noah tries to stop her, but he receives a couple of punches in the process. Finally, the other teachers are notified and they proceed to help Noah put an end to this fight. Do takes them to his office and scolds them, saying that a newly transferred student should not hit the other students, especially in front of the teacher's eyes. Kang-ja snaps at him and asks if it is okay to hit other students when nobody is watching. When the situation de-escalates with the principal's interference, Noah has a talk with the principal's assistant and asks her why things are tense between him and Teacher Do. The woman says the two of them are involved in power games because Teacher Do is supported by the president, so Principal Oh feels threatened by him. In the meantime, Kang-ja takes Jang Hai to the school's roof and asks her more about the school. The girl starts telling her that the leader of this school is Sang Tae, the student with the glasses, because he is the son of the president, Sang Bok. Sang Tae has the power to fire teachers or remove students from the school if he does not like them. The rumor has it that Sang Tae likes Ran, but then the girl hooked up with Lee Kyung. Sang Tae got mad and he had everyone pick on Ran as a form of revenge. When school is off, Noah follows Kang-ja intending to have a talk with her because he doesn't want the new student to get expelled. However, Kang-ja believes the teacher can't help her with her mission and walks away. Later, Lee Kyung visits Ran in the hospital and tries to get her to talk. Before she leaves, she says that she will tell everything to the authorities. But then Ran decides to talk and tells her friend not to say anything to anyone. Bok-dong has threatened her that he will kill both Lee Kyung and her mother if they talk. The next day, Kang-ja is informed that Teacher Do got promoted and he has more power in the school now, which means that he might expel her. However, Do has a talk with the principal and agrees with him not to expel the girl because that would bring unnecessary attention. Meanwhile, Kang-ja follows Bok-dong in the bathroom and wants to pick another fight with him. Sang Tae interrupts them trying to showcase his power, but Kang-ja just tells him that she will take care of him later. But there are even nastier things going on in this school. Teacher Do has a secret safe in the school's library and he opens it while Lee Kyung watches him. Then, the girl blackmails him that she will talk publicly about it. But the reason she blackmails him is because they have slept together in the past and she likes him. Do is scared, so he meets with a man named Nim to ask him to kill Lee Kyung. Nim calls Bok-dong while Kang-ja follows him to that exact location. Nim tells Bok-dong that underage people do not get sentenced to jail even for murders. In other words, the man wants Bok-dong to kill Lee Kyung for him. Then, Kang-ja sees Nim and she recalls that she was taken to trial because she accidentally killed Nim's brother. In the past, Kang-ja was dating the brother, but Nim thought she was a punk and shouldn't date him. Nim beat her up as a form of punishment and even pulled a knife on her. Nim's brother intervened and was accidentally killed by the knife. which was held by Kang-ja at the moment while she was trying to protect herself. Back in the present, Kang-ja almost passes out when Nim looks back at her, but he is too drunk to recognize her. Noah happens to be there and he helps his student while Bok-dong and Nim walk outside. Kang-ja stays silent and the teacher refers to her with the name Bang-wol. So Nim does not understand who she is. Elsewhere, Kyung tries to talk to her mother, but she is very busy with work. The girl proceeds to file an online complaint, but we are not shown if she submits the complaint. In the meantime, Kang-ja visits her daughter in the hospital and promises her that she will find out who's responsible for her condition. Elsewhere, the president of the school, who is also the president of a big corporation with many branches, shows how ruthless and non-caring he is by throwing an object at his secretary. The object hits her head and makes her bleed. At school, Kang-ja tries to convince Kyung to open up, but they are interrupted by teacher Do. Do sends Kyung back to class and asks Kang-ja what the two of them were talking about. Kang-ja just says that Kyung misses her friend and would like Ran to come back to school. Later, Kyung visits her bestie in the hospital and she tells her about her experience with Do, saying that she fell in love with him and they spent a few nights together. But now it is time for her to talk. At the same time, Do speaks with Nim and tells him that Kyung may try to get evidence he doesn't want the public to know about. Indeed, Kyung goes to the library, but she is ambushed by Do. The next morning, Kang-ja goes to school and sees that people have gathered around. Sadly, she is informed that Kyung committed the unthinkable. As she walks inside the school, she sees the policeman arresting Bok-dong and taking him away. The police detectives have a talk with Do in order to inform him about some new information. The girl was 3 months pregnant. Do is surprised to hear that and asks the detectives not to inform Kyung's mother about this yet because she is in a state of panic. Soon, Ran visits the school and she verbally attacks Do, blaming her friend's death on him. Ran has a mental breakdown and her mother tries to calm her down so she can take her back to the hospital. In the meantime, Bok-dong is taken to trial and he is sentenced to 2 years under supervision and 80 hours of social work. In the hospital, Ran pretends that she is crazy and starts blaming her friend's death on everybody, including a sick grandma. But as it appears, she only does this to trick teacher Do. Ran wants to return to school even though her mother advises her against that. But since her daughter is going to do it anyway, she will tag along and continue to pretend she is a student. Back to school, Ran still pretends that she has a memory deficiency. As she walks around the school, different students have various reactions toward her. When she gets back in her classroom, Ran sees her locker full of messages that blame her for her friend's death. When Kang-ja sees this, she takes Sang-tae outside and beats him up. The boy tries to fight back, but he is powerless against her. Thankfully for him, he is saved by Noah, who stops the fight. Ran tells her mother later on that her presence in this school is not going to change anything. On the other hand, her mother says that she can't leave her alone in this nightmare she has been living in. At that moment, Jin Sang comes to the school and his wife hides from him. Then, the father has a meeting with Do, who tells him he is worried about Ran. He prompts Jin Sang to inform him if his daughter develops any weird symptoms that might betray a mental illness. The next day at school, Kang-ja finds out that there are a few chat rooms where the students exchange messages. Some of those messages comment that Kyung was really close with Do, which makes Kang-ja recall her daughter blaming teacher Do for her bestie's death. Later, Do takes Ran to the library, trying to understand if she is getting her memories back. Ran wants to get rid of him, so she says that she is still having trouble remembering the past. But when the teacher leaves, Ran scans the library to find a toy that used to belong to her friend. Ran stays in the library till late that night and sees Do with the president's secretary, Ju, walking in. But they are not the only ones to gather, since Kang-ja and Noah also join the scene. Ju and Noah see the girls, but they decide not to reveal them to Do. Noah asks Ju what she is doing in the library, and she lies to him saying that she came to take inventory of the books. When they part ways, Noah asks Ran and her mother what they were doing hidden in the library, but the girl tells him an excuse. Inside the secret compartment, Do reveals to Ju that he is keeping some dirty evidence on his rivals, including the president. A few days later, Bok-dong returns to school and everybody gathers around him and Kang-ja, believing that they are going to fight. Sang-tae appears and starts bossing Bok-dong around, but the boy is sick of it and attacks the president's son. A massive fight breaks out in the school as everybody starts fighting against everybody. Noah stops the fight again and Bok-dong ends up in Do's office. Do tells him to keep an eye on Ran and prevent her from retrieving her memories. That night, Kang-ja meets with Ju, and as it appears, they have known each other from the past. That is the reason why Ju did not tell Do about her hiding in the library. Ran keeps digging, but Bok Dong stops her and tells her that she has to quit her efforts. The woman asks if he knows about the secret room in the library, but Bok Dong replies that it doesn't matter. They should keep their mouths shut and go about their lives, or else they will end up dead. While all of this is happening, the plot reveals that the school is used by the president to launder money, but he is not working alone. In fact, Congressman Su-chan supports him and they launder their money together. Since the violence incidents are increasing, a few parents are called into the school, but since Bok Dong has no parents, Nim appears as his caregiver. After meeting with the principal and Noah, Nim talks to Bok Dong and asks him to be careful because Do is a man who would easily kill somebody. However, he is not aware that Kang-ja is hiding under a desk and listens to him. Then, Hyun comes to the school for a meeting with the principal and pleads with him to take care of his daughter. The principal says that he can take great care of her and never expel her if Hyun pays him some money, but that only makes the woman angry. Hyun starts beating him up and convinces him to not expel her supposed daughter. Kang-ja is convinced that something is going on with Do, so she recruits her best friend to help her investigate his house. That night, she knocks on Do's door and pretends that she wants to ask him for some advice. She is very playful with him and tries to figure out if Do likes his students. Kang-ja spills some coffee on her shirt and asks Do to get her another shirt, to which the teacher obliges. Noah calls Kang-ja to scold her because she always disappears from school, but she is busy with other matters right now. When she changes her clothes, she spends some time with Do, trying to understand if she can seduce him. However, Do tells her that her behavior is inappropriate and the only kind of relationship they can have is that of a teacher and a student, even though she looks more mature than the other girls. At that moment, Hyun and her men crash a pickup truck into Do's car so they can distract him. When the teacher leaves the house in order to see what happened, Kang-ja starts searching it. After a while, she finds a note and a pregnancy test. The note has been written by Kyung and it prompts Do to stop bothering the girls. Do is about to enter the house, but he is accidentally stalled by Noah. Kang-ja seizes this opportunity and she leaves the house. Next, Kang-ja asks her daughter why she never told her the truth, but the girl is afraid. She narrates that Kyung was the kind of person who bonded with others. Before the two of them became friends, Kyung slept with Do, who just used her and then abandoned her. To keep her mouth shut, Do had Bok Dong bully her in order to convince her to get a transfer to another school. Ja meets with Kyung's mother and reveals to her that Do was the one who left her daughter pregnant. The woman is hurt and states that her daughter suffered enough when she was alive. Now she doesn't want people to disrespect her memory. Kang-ja can't justify the woman's reaction, but it appears she has already made her decision. The next morning, the president visits the school and asks who beat his son up. The principal shows him Kang-ja, but the president kicks him in the balls because it makes no sense to him for a girl to beat up a boy. Then, he smashes his balls again because he does not like the way Principal Oh has trained the teachers to talk. Later, when the president sees Kang-ja again, he tells the principal to give her the lowest grades he can possibly give her. When the kids gather at the cafeteria, Sang-tae skips the line just because he can. Ran tells him that he acts like he is in kindergarten, but Sang-tae can't understand the meaning of her words. When he starts being aggressive, Kang-ja jumps in and states that people like him only get their lesson with a beating. As she is about to serve him one, all of the students pull their phones out and start recording. Ran reminds her mother that she should not beat him up right now, so she stops. When the mother and the daughter have a moment alone, Ran tells her that she should not react this angrily because the school has always been like this. That night, Hyun and her guys help Kang-ja break into Do's apartment. This time Ja wants to steal the note and the pregnancy test. She could not do it the previous time because the teacher would know she was the one who did it. As she searches inside the house, Do returns home with Ju. One of Hyun's guys tries to stall him, while Ju walks into the apartment and sees Kang-ja. When Do walks inside the apartment as well, Kang-ja manages to escape and Ju does not reveal to him that she was here. Unfortunately, Kang-ja was unable to find the clues she was looking for, but Hyun has some good news for her. She actually found the evidence in the trash. The next morning, Kang-ja gets herself ready to finish this, but she bumps into her mother-in-law and drops her purse. The old lady sees the pregnancy test and is curious about it, but that will have to wait. Kang-ja along Hyun and her company visit a branch of the Justice Department that is related to educational matters, and Sue's teacher Do, also presenting the evidence she has on him. Two officers go to the school and take teacher Do with them. This matter quickly travels to the congressman's ears, who calls Do for a meeting. The congressman is very angry at him and tells Do to leave the country before he finds another way to get rid of him. The next morning, Kang-ja goes to school again, but her mother-in-law has followed her and demands some explanations. Kang-ja takes her aside and tries to explain to her that she is doing this because she wants to protect her daughter. The old lady wants her to stop this and says that she is giving her only today to keep playing the role of a student. When Kang-ja turns around to go back to class, she sees Do returning to the school. Not only that, but the other teachers congratulate him on his promotion. A short flashback shows us that Do has some dirt on the congressman, who was forced to clean Do's name and obliged to his demands. These developments really disappoint Ran, who asks her mother to stop coming to school. Later, Kang-ja meets with Hyun and tells her that the school's president is definitely involved in something and he must be a friend of Do. To gather more evidence on them, Hyun has her guys enter the president's house and secretly install some cameras. That same night, Jo also has a talk with her mother-in-law and manages to convince her not to inform her son about what she's been doing lately. One day later, Jin Sang is called by Do to school. The teacher's real motive is to befriend and keep an eye on Ran's father. To do so, he offers the man a job to be the general manager of the new building that the school is going to have built soon. Jin Sang accepts, and he also uses this opportunity to see his daughter in class. Once more, Kang-ja has to hide, dragging herself across the floor. A few days later, the principal carries the president's orders and he prepares all of the students for their upcoming tests. Sang-tae has created a secret study group and gives them the answers to the tests. Ja uncovers this group and tries to stop them from cheating, but Sang-tae pushes her and injures her. Ja tells Noah everything about it, but the incident is covered once more by the school because nobody can touch Sang-tae. When it is time for the students to see their scores, Ran is sad to see that she didn't do well. Sang-tae walks by her side and tells her that she should have joined his study group. Noah snaps against the principal when he understands the kind of corruption going on behind his back, but Principal Oh does not admit any of the accusations. This happens while the bullying incidents keep increasing inside the school. Since nobody is doing anything inside the school, Kang-ja decides to find the congressman herself and deliver a letter to him because he presents a good public face. However, she sees the congressman visiting President Sang-bok through the cameras, asking him to keep the students away from him because he really hates this stuff. He prompts the president to do what's necessary to shut their mouths. The next morning, Kang-ja goes to school with her daughter as usual. Bok-dong has a talk with her because she is always digging for information, but today she is about to learn something new. While the two of them hide from Nim and Jin Sang, the young boy reveals that he likes Kang-ja. But then, Jin Sang sees his wife. He wants to take her back home so they can talk because this seems really crazy to him. But Bok-dong jumps in and stops him, considering that he is harassing Kang-ja. The situation becomes really awkward, but Jin Sang has to let it go because Nim is looking for him. Bok-dong asks Kang-ja if she is dating this old man for money and then hands her his wallet, prompting her not to waste her life with an old man like him. That night, Nim sits in his office with a phone in his hands and recalls the device's story. This phone used to belong to Lee Kyung. The night she died, she was on the school's roof and was recording a video of Do as proof. Do tried to take her phone and the girl fell from that height toward the ground. Do eventually took the phone and spent some time in his car looking at it. Then, he threw the phone out and drove over it with his car. When he left, Nim appeared and took the phone. The next day, Jin Sang wants his wife to stay home instead of going to school, and his mother agrees with him. The conversation turns into a confrontation and it results in Kang-ja leaving the house. The old lady is not about to give up though, and she visits the school looking for her daughter-in-law. She tells everyone that her daughter-in-law is an adult, but she is pretending to be a student here. Everybody thinks the old lady is crazy and Ran finally walks near her in order to stop her. The old lady is so angry that she actually confuses a female teacher for Kang-ja. Later that night, Nim corners one of Hyun's guys and beats him up trying to discover if he was one of the people who sued teacher Do. Despite the beating he receives, Hyun's guy does not disclose any information. When Kang-ja learns the news, she decides to take action and enters Do's office to go through his files. At the same time though, Nim finds Ran and he forces her to go with him. Nim uses the girl's phone to send Kang-ja a message and gives her his location. While all of these events unfold, Bok-dong is seen following Kang-ja. The young man puts the pieces of the puzzle together. Since he knows Nim, he suspects what is about to go down. To help Kang-ja, he notifies Noah. Soon, Kang-ja finds Nim and her daughter. After they let Ran go, the two of them have a short talk. As it appears, Nim wants to avenge the women for his brother's death. When he gets hold of a knife and intends to attack her, Noah appears to help her out. Nim pushes him away. Kang-ja tries to fight Nim, but he is able to throw her on the ground. Nim is blinded by his rage and is about to hit Kang-ja with the knife, but Noah jumps in the way and takes the hit. Kang-ja asks Nim to call an ambulance, but the infuriated man says that he is not going to die from such a small cut. Hyun helps Kang-ja and they provide treatment for Noah by paying a doctor privately. When he wakes up, Kang-ja scolds him for acting the way he did, but whatever she says to him, she also recognizes that this guy is different than everybody else. The next day at school, Jin-sang pulls his wife away and asks her why she returns home late. Now that she is pretending to be a student, she is also acting like one. Bok-dong sees them again and he approaches Jin-sang after his wife walks away. He warns Jin-sang to stay away from her and punches him. That same day, Jin-sang and his workers start the preparations for the new school building. Nim approaches Jin-sang, but he is not interested in the progress he's made with his work. Instead, Nim asks him if Ran is Jin's biological daughter. The man is reluctant to answer that, but he eventually reveals that she is not his biological daughter. Nim does the math and figures out that Ran is his dead brother's daughter. Nim knows that Do wants to get rid of the girl, so he starts telling Jin-sang that he should send his daughter to study abroad because she is very clever. After several incidents take place, such as Bok-dong trying to save Kang-ja from her supposed mother because he thinks she got abducted, a politician who works with the congressman visits Hyun's cabaret bar. Kang-ja pretends she is the MC for the night and she approaches the politician when everyone leaves, pouring him a few drinks and putting him in a good mood. Kang-ja feeds the man's ego and manages to get him talking. The man says that Congressman Soo-chan has a secret son. This kind of rumor is not unusual for politicians, but it can still make out for a big scandal if it circulates. The next morning, Nim finds out the truth about Kang-ja, that she is pretending to be a student and that she is causing trouble to the president's corporation. Nim grabs her by her throat, but Bok-dong sees them and decides to intervene. Nim slaps Bok-dong, but that's not the worst part. Kang-ja visits Dong later on and she sees him beaten up. In addition, Noah joins them and he asks the woman he knows as Bang-wol if her real name is Kang-ja. Nim exposes Kang-ja, but in any case, Noah proclaims that she is still his student. But Bok-dong is also his student, so he wants to take him away from Nim. The man tries to stop them, but Noah tells the boy that this is not an environment he has to grow up in. The boy kneels in front of Nim and thanks him for everything that he has done for him up to this point. However, things have gotten sideways and he has to go live his life. The next day, the president visits the school to get a report on how the construction is going. The president wants a specific layout for the new establishment, but Jin-sang tells him that they should not do it that way due to efficiency issues. The president is mad and makes it clear that things should happen the way he wants them. In the meantime, Hyun and her guys steal hair from everybody who's involved with the president and the congressman in order to find out who is the secret son of the congressman. Elsewhere, Noah treats Bok-dong to lunch. The two of them have gotten close together because the teacher has invited him to stay in his house. This causes Bok-dong to open up and he tells Noah that Do was the one who killed Lee-kyung. At school, Ran and a few of her new friends fall into a big hole. Kang-ja is notified and she runs to help her daughter. That night, she and Noah decide to investigate the construction site. To their surprise, they realize that the building is full of flaws. But that's not the only thing they find. They also find a man stealing some of the material. When they catch him, the man says that he is the owner of one of the construction companies that are building this place. The president is not paying them for the work they are doing, so this man steals some material every night in order to keep his company alive. Kang-ja doesn't like what she hears because the president has supposedly asked for $3 million of funds for the new building. Noah and Kang-ja get to work. First, they spread the rumor that the school is not safe for their kids, and then they gather the mothers of the students to protest against the construction of the new building. Principal O gathers everyone for a quick conference and Noah voices all of the problems he has spotted, one of them being that water is leaking in various areas around the school. The principal uses these words as an opportunity to tell the parents that they are doing some construction work because they want to fix these problems. But then, Noah plays a recording where the principal clearly states that this construction is dangerous due to the fact that the president has decided to take a supporting column off the plans. The mothers are infuriated and Do has no choice but to stop the construction work for now. He assures them that he will hire specialists who are not associated with the school to go over the plans and also review the construction. The mothers are happy to hear that, but not everything can work in favor of Kang-ja. When she visits her daughter in the hospital later that day, Sang-tae sees them and Ran calls her mother. Sang-tae confronts the girl about it when she is left alone and threatens to expose her mother. Ran follows the boy back to his house and tries to change his mind, but she has to hide when the president appears. Sang-tae changes his mind and does not expose Kang-ja. Then, he has a moment alone with Ran and he shows his true feelings about her. However, they are interrupted by Kang-ja, who takes her daughter away. Before they leave the house, they overhear the president asking Jo to bring him the stuff Do was holding against the congressman and uses to blackmail him. When the president leaves, Kang-ja asks Jo to deliver that evidence to her instead of the president, saying that both Do and the president will just use her and then throw her away. The next morning, Kang-ja sees the politician she met the other day at the cabaret. She takes him aside for a talk and asks him to check the construction site properly or else she will tell everyone about that night. Despite her threats, the man claims that he has no power in his hands. The orders for this construction site are coming from high above. Later, Jo searches Do's house for the evidence. She is able to find a recorder, but Do catches her in the act. In the meantime, Kang-ja and Noah set up a campaign against the congressman. When she returns to Hyan's place, Jo appears with a copy of Do's recording, which she made without him knowing. They play the recording and they hear that the congressman had a fight with Do's mother, asking her to get rid of the baby, which was Do. The mother couldn't do it, so the congressman threatened her that he would kill both her and the baby. When the rumors spread, reporters storm into the school to ask Do about it. The congressman appears as well and the two men turn everything into a show, pretending that they are good men who forgive each other. Kang-ja says she has evidence against them and a recording starts playing. However, this recording just exposes Kang-ja as Ran's mother. When Jo appears, a flashback shows us that Jo actually told Do the truth about Kang-ja and they came up with a plan to defeat her. In the aftermath of these events, the reporters start asking around about Kang-ja, while the congressman is invited to various TV, which he uses to promote the image of the good man he is supposed to be. Meanwhile, Kang-ja and Hyan are being questioned by the authorities, but the judge, who is also Noah's father, manages to bail them out. Kang-ja is not about to give up, so she visits the school again and picks a place to set up a few signs. She wants everyone to know about the corruption going on in this school. A few reporters invite her for an interview, but that doesn't go entirely well since they mostly ask Kang-ja about irrelevant topics, such as her beauty secrets. Noah tries to help Ja, so he crashes the president's house and tries to steal some of his files. The president almost catches him in the act, but Sang-tae appears to save him. The next day, it's time for the president to fight back, and he leaks to the press Kang-ja's old trial case when she was blamed for the death of Nim's brother. That night, the president also tries to intimidate Ran, but he is interrupted by his son first, and then by Nim, who says he has a gift for him. Once they are alone, Nim shows him the video shot by Kyung the night she died. Obviously, he has restored her broken phone. Nim will give him the video if the president allows him to convince Kang-ja and Ran to leave the country without hurting them. In the meantime, Ja's team figures out that they can bring the president and the congressman down if they steal Sang Bok's accounting books. Jo is trying to do the same thing, but Kang-ja arrives and steals the book for herself. Jo threatens her with a knife, but Kang-ja smacks her and tells her that the lives of dozens of kids depend on this book. Unfortunately, the president watches everything through his cameras and orders Nim to take care of it. After beating up Noah, Nim takes the book from Kang-ja and warns her to leave because this is a war she can't win. Then, Nim meets with a defeated Jo who's preparing to leave. Unexpectedly, Nim gives her the book and tells her to go to Do. Their conversation reveals that Jo had testified against Kang-ja in the past because Nim had paid for all of her studies abroad. Eventually, Jo visits Do and tells him that she has nowhere else to go. Nim keeps pressing Kang-ja indirectly and he calls the police on Hyan's business. Then, he threatens Kang-ja that he will keep hurting the people she loves until she moves abroad. The next day at school, Do calls Jin Sang in the office and tells him that their time frames for the completion of the construction work are even tighter. Jin Sang complains that they can't be faster because they will be compromising the necessary safety measures, but Do replies that they have no other choice. He also asks the man if they are moving abroad, and Jin Sang exclaims that his wife wants to do so. During the following days, everybody tries to get an advantage over their rivals. Jo finds the construction plans for Do, which prove that the building has many flaws. Do intends to use these plans in a presentation he has set up for a few reporters, but the president crashes the party and tells Do that the book they stole from him is fake. Only the president has the real one. He also shows Do the video from Kyung's phone. A flashback shows us that the president asked Nim to set Ju up as well. The congressman smacks Do and instructs to reveal the faulty plans after the upcoming election, and also take the blame for them. Meanwhile, the president takes Ju to a room and beats her up. A few days later, Ran returns to school to greet her friends goodbye before she leaves, while Bok Dong tries to steal some of Nim's files from his office. The kids spend their first day in the new building, but everything goes to hell when water starts leaking from the tubes. Soon, the entire building is brought down. Kang-ja rushes to the school and thankfully, her daughter is alive. 6 students die in the accident and 18 of them are injured, but the number of deaths gets higher considering the adults that died as well, one of them being Jin Sang. The president pretends he has a health issue and is inserted in a hospital. Do visits him and the two of them agree they need to find a victim to blame everything on. However, Kyung's mother, who works as a reporter, has shot a video of them, which she shows to Kang-ja and Noah, saying that it is time for her to be a real mother. The case is taken to trial and Do has hired the best lawyers to protect himself. However, the angry crowd presses for justice when the lawyer of the good guys presents the video shot by Kyung's mother. The trial can't reach a verdict this fast, so it will continue the following days. Ju has dinner with Do, who tells her that he and the president decided to use Nim to blame everything on. The mothers of the students stay outside the court while the president bribes everyone he knows to take the attention off him. While the president gives a statement, Ju's bank records are manipulated to show she received a bribe from Jin Sang's account, meaning that they are going to take the blame. At the same time, Ren gets Bok Dong's phone, but she sees Kyung's files in it. A flashback shows us that when Bok Dong entered Nim's office, he switched the SD cards of the phones. Despite this development, Nim decides to switch sides because he loves Bok Dong. He helps the moms set up a trap for the president, and the reporters catch him right inside the secret vault in the library. The bad guys are taken to trial and Bok Dong appears as an eyewitness. He was present on the school's roof the night when Kyung died, and he says that Do killed her. Then he blamed everything on Bok Dong. Do is arrested, but the fight is not over yet. However, the moms have another asset, Sang Tae's mother, who flies into the country to assist the good cause. The president kidnaps his son in order to threaten his ex-wife not to talk, but Kang-ja and her group help her get him back. The congressman tries to bribe them, but that's not going to work. In the meantime, the good lawyer is being stalled in his investigation by his higher-up in the Justice Department, who is trying to help the congressman. The 2 powerful corrupted men are taken to trial, and Sang Tae's mother testifies that she left her son behind because the president was making her life miserable by beating her up every day. As the trial progresses, the president and the congressman turn against each other, but that's not all. Do comes to the court to testify, and he has also revealed his secret recording where the congressman is heard threatening his mother. With that, the congressman is about to be taken to jail as well. The authorities are finally cleared to search the president's house as well as the safe in the library. Now everything is revealed and everybody is about to get sentenced not only for the deaths of the young students, but for the money laundering scheme as well. However, the president gets it easy and is only sentenced to 2 years in prison. Not only that, but he is set free after 3 months in prison because the country's prime minister granted him favor. Nim decides to escape when he hears about this, and he meets Ran to tell her that her father was nothing like him. He was kind and caring. In the meantime, the president has abducted Kang-ja, but Nim appears and saves her. While the two of them have a talk, the president tries to hit her with a metal pipe, but Nim prevents him and pushes him through a wall. The president is hurt and they leave him like that. But then, somebody with white shoes appears and kills him for good. With that, everybody is free to continue their lives, and justice is served one way or another.